versus the Catholics or any of that religious nonsense going on back home. You could come over here and then those religious laws no longer apply. It no longer mattered whether you had a religion or what religion it was. Religion didn't rule. We had secular law, and that was hugely attractive. That made the melting pot of the United States. That attracted people from every country.
Can religion coexist with free thought when questioning it can carry legal punishment? In this fiery debate, atheist Aron Ra challenges Muslim apologist Daniel Haqiqatjou over Islam, blasphemy laws, free speech, and the claim that religious authority creates a better society. The exchange quickly turns personal as both men clash over who actually supports freedom and who merely supports it when convenient. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it.
So if I offer freedom of religion, which atheists unilaterally support, because we believe in free thought, that you have the right, it's one of the most basic, fundamental rights, is the right to think and believe or not what you do for whatever reason makes sense to you. No religion likes that. They all want to control thought right inside your head, and Islam is among the worst of them. You have laws in certain countries, in certain Sharia countries. If you're Arab, for example, you are legally obliged in the UAE that you have to believe Islam. You can't have free thought. If you have free thought there, that's criminal.
No, this is like a caricature.
It's not a caricature, that's a fact.
Okay, so all governments restrict certain forms of speech and certain forms of investigation.
But we're talking about thought and belief.
Even thought, you can't express certain thoughts, you can't express certain ideas. Every country, every society restricts thought. Read Stanley Fish.
There's not.
Okay, let me finish. I let you speak, let me finish my point. Read Stanley Fish, philosopher, eminent philosopher, his book, There Is No Such Thing as Free Speech, and it's a good thing too. Every society has to regulate expression and thought in order to preserve that community. So even if you go on social media and Facebook, they have what? Community guidelines. If you violate those community guidelines, you will get banned, you will get punished. Why? Because you are disturbing the fabric of the community. That's the logic of it. That justifies you being banned. Presumably you don't have a problem with that kind of banning, or you don't have a problem with the fact that you can't go around and shout the N-word at everyone that you see. Presumably that kind of speech should be restricted. Or are you an absolute free speeches, in favor of absolute free speech, and even that kind of expression should be allowed in society?
Do you accept that there is a law in the UAE, a Sharia country, that if you're Arab, you were legally required to believe in Islam?
No, you're not. There is no such law in the UAE. You can be a Christian in the UAE. You can be a Jew in the UAE. You can be Buddhist. They have lots of Buddhists.
But as an Arab in the UAE.
Are you talking about the apostasy law?
No.
You can be Christian and live in a Muslim country.
I was in the UAE, and I'm having a conversation with a group of Arabs who all tell me that they have this law, that if you're Arab, you have to believe in Islam. That we can be, we can be Christian or whatever if we're foreigners.
There are Arab Christians, though. They have long generations of Arabs who are Christians, Arabs who are Jews.
So what you're saying is that all my hosts...
I don't know who you're talking about.
Right, is all my hosts, including a cop, are all lying to me. And all of my lists, all of the different independent lists that I gathered, they're all racist.
Well, you
and you're saying that every society controls thought, legislatively.
What about Coptic Christians? Have you heard of Coptic Christians?
And you somehow conflated that to free speech, whereas I was talking about free thought and belief, and you're saying that every society has legislation to control thought. Now, apart from the example I gave, which you denied, give me an example of a nation that controls thought.
So, which Muslim country can actually scan your mind to determine what thoughts you have?
I'm sorry, I forgot. I was asking the guy who thinks we're headed for the Matrix.
Explain it. Which society can scan your thoughts to control what thoughts that you have? Thoughts are expressed through speech. It's the same. There's no distinction between free thought and free speech. Yes. You can go straight to the heart of the Muslim world and have all kinds of blasphemous, satanic thoughts. No one can do anything about it because it's in your head.
But you, okay, so
There's
you're
no
saying,
distinction between free thought and free speech.
But
So
you're
again,
not, so
this
what you're
issue
saying
of
is you're not allowed to
racism,
express this at all.
that's free speech, yes. Every
At all.
society restricts free speech.
Okay,
In
so you
some
have a
form or
restriction on
fashion.
free speech, so you can't give your opinion on anything. You can't say.
You can give your opinion
that you
on plenty of things
So
in the
you're
Muslim
saying
law.
that in Dubai that I can legally say, here's the reasons why Quran is wrong.
No, you can't. The speech,
I can?
no, you cannot.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I acknowledge that.
So
that's
my
that's
host
the
who was
kind of
lying to
restriction.
me had to rush me out of a restaurant for saying that very sentence.
Yeah,
Because
that's the
it's
law.
illegal
Yeah.
to say that the Quran is wrong.
Yeah, that's the law. Because Muslim society is preserving Islam. It's preserving belief in God because that is something that's valuable and important.
Yeah, it's amazing how many liars live there.
Just
because
like if
I
you
went
come
to
to, no, let me finish my point. You can go to many European countries and you can say, look, I think that homosexuality is wrong. That's hate speech, and you will be prosecuted for that kind of language.
country?
Britain, Germany, Denmark, the Netherlands, France.
You can be imprisoned.
France deports.
You can be
France
imprisoned
deports
for
Muslims.
thinking that
Yes, you can
homosexuality is
be
wrong.
imprisoned. You can be kicked out of the country. Muslims are deported from France because they cite verses of the Quran in public speeches that are seen as hateful. This is something that is happening in Europe, and it's being, in Canada, the same thing. You have hate speech laws. The only reason that is not the case in the United States is because the First Amendment is more robust here. But in all of those countries, you can be imprisoned if you say, I think homosexuality is immoral.
So while I'm
They call that inciting hate.
That's a pretty big stretch. Yes, some Western countries have hate speech laws, and in some cases, non-citizens have been deported after criminal convictions or other legal violations. But that's a completely different claim from saying the West and Islamic blasphemy laws are basically doing the same thing. Here's what gets overlooked: treating every restriction as morally equivalent. They aren't. A seatbelt and a pair of handcuffs both restrict movement, but nobody thinks they serve the same purpose. The same idea applies here. A society can debate where the line on speech belongs, but protecting people from targeted harm and protecting ideas from criticism are fundamentally different goals. Once those two get blended together, the comparison sounds much stronger than it actually is.
just because we need to have a common fact here, and so you're saying that all my hosts have in Dubai lied to me about that law, and then I find myself in a hotel room in Dubai. I'm playing Texas Hold'em, and there's a knock at the door. Everybody gets scared because they think that there's going to be police or something, and they say, "Oh no, you're fine because you're a foreigner, but we're all gambling. That's illegal for us because we're Arabs. We can't be doing that." And then we go to a nightclub. And there are women there, are Arab women there, who say that they can sneak out and try to blend in with the foreigners, but because they're Arab, if they're caught there, then they're going to be criminalized because they have this racist legal system where if you're Arab, you have to adhere to Islam. And you're telling me all of those people lied about that law.
So within Muslim countries that abide by Islamic law, there are certain restrictions on your speech. There are certain restrictions on your behavior. These kinds of restrictions exist in all kinds of societies. There are differences between societies based on fundamental beliefs, but it's not something particular or unique to Islam. That is the point that I'm trying to make.
So in a video that I watched of you recently, you said that you don't believe in equality.
No, I didn't. I never said that. Which videos did I say I don't believe in equality?
I actually have the link for it.
Show me. Which was the link? The title of the video.
You said you can't have a successful marriage if you have equality, because there has to be
absolute equality. Just like you can't have a successful business if everyone is equal in the business and there's no hierarchy between the manager and the employees and the owner and the administrators.
So and you specified the detail was that the man has to be in charge of the woman.
Yes, this is patriarchy.
It has to be a patriarchy, right?
Yeah, as has been practiced by literally every single society in human history.
And you said ultimately that no marriage can succeed without patriarchy, without the man being in charge of the woman. So my 13-year marriage apparently was a hallucination as well?
No.
Because I'm not her
claim
master,
that I
nor
made,
is
you're
she mine?
strawmanning my position. My position is that patriarchy provides the best success rate for marriage. Yeah, you can have a great marriage, equality marriage. That's true. That's
okay, well,
that's possible, but that doesn't contradict the general rule.
Okay.
There's a reason, like you believe in evolution, right?
I don't believe in evolution.
Okay, you accept the fact, the amazing fact of evolution.
Yes.
So
I can show it to you and prove it to you too.
Great, excellent. So if evolution is true, cultural evolution is true, you accept that. Why is it that all of human history we have these patriarchal systems of family and society? If the strongest survive, it seems like all of these cultures that are independently developing throughout the world, across time and space, they all came up with the same solution or the same model of patriarchy. How do you explain that from an evolutionary perspective? How could something so dysfunctional and evil end up dominating the entire human history?
Because one, it's not the strong that survives, is one that can best adapt. That wasn't Darwin's statement, that was Herbert Spencer, an economist, who said so later. Two, you're talking about tribal societies where you have the warrior and the hunter versus the homekeeper and that sort of thing. We don't
Every
live
society.
What's that?
Every society.
Right, began that way. So that's how that began. That's the answer to your question.
And maintain and continue that way.
But they don't have to maintain and continue. We're not hunter-gatherers anymore. We don't have to be the warrior providers like we used to be.
No, I want an explanation for why that practice persisted for
Then listen to me
millennia,
while I
thousands
repeat
of
it.
years.
Right.
Why did it persist?
Because
if it wasn't,
we all began in that tribal
no, people can change.
hunter-gatherer.
Like you can have society A that decides to have a kind of equality, feminist
Well,
marriage,
you've
and then
got the
society
answer.
B that is
Go back.
patriarchal.
Okay.
And then if we strongest survive or the best adapted survive, then which will survive? The equality marriage-based society or the patriarchal society? In every country, in every society, in every civilization
all
historically,
began-
the patriarchal ones came out on
Which
top.
all began from that Stone Age culture of the system. that I
Cultures
just
can
described.
change, right?
Yes, they can. That's why they did. And that's why
They
we're
didn't until the past 200 years.
Lots of things changed in the past 200 years. We've made
Even in
significant
today's
progress.
culture, it's still patriarchal.
Practically everything we've invented has been in the last 200 years because it accelerates.
You're not engaging with the point. If you
didn't
have society
one.
A,
if I may just be blunt on
That's
here,
pretty rude
your
to say.
dystopian fantasy of
it's pretty rude to say
living
for
in
someone
pods.
who believes that all the best countries happen to be white and we can't know if that's racist or not. So my point was very simple. You have society A that is feminist and society B that is patriarchal. Don't you think that if feminism and equality marriage was such a rational idea that there would be people in history who would have stumbled upon it prior to the past 200 years? Human history
in
is
advanced cultures historically, yes, they did.
also advanced.
Yeah.
So primitive cultures wouldn't have the
I said it
IQ
started,
to develop
I said it
that?
started as hunter-gatherer
Okay, yeah, it
societies.
started fine.
And then we have, like Greeks and Roma, that we have other societies to develop.
Well,
that
why did it
can
start,
then
actually? That's a
change.
good point. Why did it start?
How many times do you need me to answer the same question?
Why did patriarchy start? Why was that evolutionary adaptive
That
for
is
the hunter
same
and
question
gatherers?
I've just answered like 4 or 5
Oh,
times.
I'm sorry, I missed it. What was the answer?
Because they all began as Stone Age societies of
What
hunter-gatherer.
began prior to the Stone Age? There were people, right, that evolved. So why did they evolve patriarchy in those Stone Age societies?
For the reason I'm now going to explain for the 5th time, because they started out as hunter-gatherer societies where you had the men playing the role of the hunters and the warriors because of a slight advantage in physical strength, whereas the women were, for a number of reasons, connected to the children, the upbringing, the home. The roles were discerned that way, and they don't have to stay that way. So in advanced societies, they don't stay that way. We adapt and improve. Please don't ask me to answer that same question a 6th time.
So these advanced societies happen to be, like which countries developed equality marriage? It happened to be, guess what, white countries. It happened to be the Northwestern European countries that
Except that it
developed
wasn't
feminist.
always.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Historically.
No, it isn't. Sai Shanagal, Japanese author, female. There was a time when even Japan allowed for this kind of advance. And when the United States was founded, the reason that we were so popular was not because we were white. The reason that we were so popular was because we were the first secular nation in the world. We were the first meritocracy, where it didn't matter about the caste system in India. It didn't matter about the Huguenots versus the Catholics or any of that religious nonsense going on back home. You could come over here, and then those religious laws no longer apply. It no longer mattered whether you had a religion or what religion it was. Religion didn't rule. We had secular law, and that was hugely attractive. That made the melting pot of the United States. That attracted people from every country.
So why did whites come across this brilliant idea?
Is it because we were racist?
No, what is it? I want your explanation from you. Like, why is it the whites that developed this kind of amazing secularism and equality marriage? You said earlier that it's advanced societies, advanced civilizations that figure out that, okay, marriage should be all about equality.
Yeah.
No, Japan has not had any kind of equality marriage. It's a highly patriarchal society. In the current day Japanese parliament, there's only 2 women, and
I know,
they're not allowed to talk.
I know.
So tell me about patriarchy being abolished supposedly by whites in Europe and in America. What makes whites better able to discover these amazing truths of equality?
I didn't say that. I said that around 1200 or so, Japan was more egalitarian than it is now. And they have since reverted. I'm sorry if that doesn't fit the ill painting that you're trying to paint here. Just like your opening statement with your dystopian nightmare about things that were never going to happen, about what atheists do that no atheist does and never did. We offer free thought. We offer freedom of religion. And while we do not offer absolute freedom of speech, we allow freedom of speech. And the thing we are most against...
It's a lie.
Excuse me?
What free thought? I said already, if you say in certain Western, the most secular atheistic European societies, if you say homosexuality is immoral, if you misgender someone, you can be put in prison. Literally, you can be fined. Are you opposed to those kinds of restrictions on speech?
You're going to have to show me that. Are you opposed to that, if that's the case? Where if you misgender someone, or if you say that I disagree with homosexuality, or homosexuality is wrong, that's going to put you in prison?
You disagree with that?
I would need to see proof of that, because I don't believe you.
I don't know why he keeps doing this, because it doesn't actually prove his point. He keeps pointing to the fact that patriarchy lasted for thousands of years as if longevity settles the question. It really doesn't. Surviving and being the best are 2 completely different things. Human beings spent most of history without antibiotics, anesthesia, modern democracy, or universal education. Those systems lasted for centuries too. Nobody takes that as evidence that they were the highest form of human progress. History is great at showing us what people managed to live with. It tells us a lot less about what people should aspire to. Something can dominate for 1,000 years and still be replaced by something better. Time measures endurance. It doesn't hand out medals for being right.
No, there are hate speech laws in the UK. For example, last year, there was a Muslim woman who went on the street and was saying homosexuality is a sin. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. Society is going to be destroyed by God. She was arrested for hate speech. She was fined for hate speech. This is something very common.
Okay.
Even posting on social media in the EU, you can be prosecuted for statements that you make on Twitter or Facebook that violate hate speech laws. If you're ignorant about these laws and you're focused on America, fine. But even Canada in the north, they have similar laws. If you this was the whole controversy with Jordan Peterson. He was going contrary to the law by saying that I am not going to be forced to use someone's preferred pronouns. That's the whole controversy with Jordan Peterson. Why? Because Canadian law has been changed to prosecute or to make that illegal to misgender people.
So the debate we're supposed to be doing on which would be better for society, I, as an atheist, am advocating for free thought, and you're telling me that I'm not. You're telling me that I'm lying.
No, I'm saying that you have a fantasy understanding that's not based in reality.
You said that liberalism was always authoritarian. It is not. I'm in the anti-authoritarian left quadrant of the political compass, which you really should look up at some point. So we are not always authoritarian. Most of us, in fact, are not. If you take a poll of the entirety of the country, if everybody did the study, they would realize that most of the population actually leans libertarian left where I am. So that was a false statement. We do not support authoritarianism. We are not advocating for atheist society would not mean an authoritarian society, whereas an Islamic society would. So you are trying to paint something on me that is not going to fit. I am countering you. Now, you want to talk about something that's going to make society good. I say free thought is going to make that good. You say I don't allow free thought. I'm demonstrating that I do.
So you think that Holocaust denial should be allowed in Europe?
I don't know what to say about Europe because I can't prove to you on the fly what laws actually exist.
Should it be legal or not? It's a simple question.
I live in a country where stupidity reigns.
Okay, so you're proving that you're not a free speech absolutist. You do think certain ideas should be restricted.
I did
certain
already
ideas
tell you.
should be restricted.
I did already.
You just draw the lines.
Hello.
You're interrupting me. You just talk for 5 minutes. I let you speak. Don't interrupt, man.
You're
extremely rude.
You've done nothing but monologue.
I just want to jump in. So,
Yeah, I gave you your chance to talk for 5 minutes to give your speech, so this is my response
And then
to that.
I didn't.
I asked you a question, and you said that you couldn't answer whether Holocaust denial should be legal or illegal.
That is not what I said.
indicates should be legal or illegal.
I said I can't speak for the laws in Europe because I don't know what the laws are in Europe.
In the abstract. Abstract.
And then I didn't get to answer because you then asked me another question as another distraction.
Because
to
you
paint
can't
the whole
answer a
picture
simple
again.
question. In the abstract, forget about Europe, forget about the laws of any particular country. Should Holocaust denial be legal or not?
As I was trying to answer when you interrupted the answer to ask yet another question, yes, I think that in the country that I live in, stupidity reigns, right? People get to say all kinds of stupid things. Now, I'm not a free speech absolutist because you do have to be responsible for the things that you say. But whether people say stupid things, sure. We just watched Herschel Walker talk about a vampire movie as part of his campaign speech. I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene say they don't teach us in history about how in the Ice Ages they had to pay taxes to heat up the planet and melt the ice. People say that these are the people running for office and they're that damn dumb. Yeah, you can't make a law against stupid. You can't make a law against hate. You can make a law when it's going to lead to violence. Because you do have to have some
That's
level
what people argue. They say that Holocaust denial leads to violence. They say saying that homosexuality is immoral
I would
leads to
have to
violence.
see the evidence and hear the argument and make an informed decision.
But if it is proven that it does increase violence, then you would
I'm
be
not
fine
going
with
to make a
banning
judgment without the information.
it. But in principle, you would be okay with banning certain types of speech because they could potentially lead to violence if the statistical data prove that out.
It has to be a realistic expectation. Not, I want to get back to the debate, not the opening statement you made about
blaspheming
living
against
in pods.
God in the UAE or in a Muslim society can increase violence towards Muslims. It has potential, right? So if the science shows
Once again, it has
that
to be-
blaspheming against Islam...
Once again, it has to
No,
have a
let me
realistic
finish.
probability.
Let me finish my hypothesis here, or my suggestion. If you have a Muslim country and there's someone like you in that Muslim country blaspheming against God, saying that Islam is just a delusion, that could potentially inspire people to rebel against the government, or it could inspire people to commit acts of hatred against Muslims. If the statistics showed that that kind of blasphemy increased the rate of violence, would you be in favor of blasphemy laws to restrict blasphemy?
I am not in favor of blasphemy laws, and I know that you are, because I saw the interview wherein you said that you would criminalize blasphemy as a death sentence. So you would execute people for realizing that they can no longer buy into this bullshit.
Yeah, just like the liberal colonial governments executed Muslims for disagreeing with...
I wonder what liberal means to you, because you think...
Liberal means the pursuit of maximum freedom and maximum equality. Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. Donald Trump is a liberal in that philosophical sense. I'm not talking about leftism versus right wing. I'm talking about liberalism as a concept, a philosophical concept.
I know there's like 3 or 4 different definitions.
No,
there really are.
Maximizing freedom and equality.
There really are 3 or 4 different definitions.
This is exactly the kind of thinking that worries me. For a lot of theists, protecting a belief becomes more important than protecting the people who question it. Listen to where the argument ends up. The possibility of punishing or even executing someone for blasphemy because they rejected a religion. At that point, the goal isn't persuading people that your beliefs are true anymore. It's making disbelief too dangerous to express. A religion that depends on fear to preserve its authority is making a very different claim from a religion that trusts people to examine the evidence and choose freely. If an idea is true, it should be able to survive criticism. It shouldn't need the threat of punishment to stay standing. One thing this debate kept bringing me back to is that the strongest societies aren't the ones where everyone agrees. They're the ones that have a reliable way to correct themselves. That's a much harder standard than simply preserving traditions or maintaining order. Every civilization has managed to do those things at one point or another. The real question is what happens when society gets something wrong. That's where these two worldviews part ways. One side argues that certain conclusions should already be settled because they're grounded in divine authority. The other argues that every conclusion should remain open to criticism, even the ones people hold most dearly. That doesn't guarantee you'll always reach the right answer. It does mean you always leave open the possibility of finding a better one. Think about almost every major advance we've made over the last few centuries. Scientific discoveries overturned older beliefs. Political reforms challenged established power. Social progress came from people refusing to accept that this is how it's always been was a complete answer. None of those changes required everyone to agree. They required a culture where disagreement itself wasn't treated as a threat. There's another irony here. Religious apologists often ask why atheism doesn't provide an objective foundation for morality. But a society isn't judged only by where its moral principles come from. It's judged by what those principles produce. Do they create a culture where people can question authority without fear? Can bad ideas be replaced by better ones? Can mistakes be admitted instead of defended? Those questions affect everyday life far more than winning an abstract philosophical argument. And maybe that's the biggest difference. One approach places enormous confidence in having the right answers. The other places confidence in having the right process for finding them. Human beings have been wrong about countless things throughout history. That's exactly why a society benefits from making criticism easier rather than harder. Progress rarely comes from protecting certainty. More often, it comes from allowing certainty to be challenged. If your worldview loses points every time someone asks an uncomfortable question, maybe the debate isn't your biggest enemy. Curiosity is. If you enjoyed this discussion, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more debates like this, and as always, support the original creators by watching the full debate on their channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.